we're going to go Brighton first. They picked up the points against Aston Villa 4-2. They came from behind to beat Villa. It was a pretty eventful game, I'd say.
Such a good game.
Do you reckon Villa were kind of a little bit unlucky not to get something out of it? YouTube listeners predicted Villa would get the win.
Yeah, perhaps we could say that after the first half and looking at the chances created. But I think they probably made more mistakes than Brighton, and Brighton were better at capitalising on those mistakes. So maybe they deserve to edge it. But I don't think a draw would have been unfair. Do you know what I mean? I think both managers came in, both managers spoke pre-match about how similar the teams were and how they wanted to play similar styles of football, which made for a really interesting matchup. So I think it was an element of who, like I said, who was going to capitalise on those mistakes. I think had Villa been maybe a little bit more consistent in their pressing, because when they pressed together, they did it really well and they put Brighton under pressure. And I think that's where the first goal came from. But there were times where Rachel Daly would go and people wouldn't come with her, and you could see she was getting frustrated by it. And I think that's where potentially they could have forced Brighton into a few more mistakes.
100%. And I feel like Brighton started to kind of clock on to what was happening. So they would play them out, and then obviously they were out of position. Then they had the overload back again. So to me, yeah, 100%. It was just that consistency and kind of keeping the momentum in the game. It did feel like there were parts of the game that kind of swung one way, swung another. But that's essentially what created the drama, I suppose. But talking of some drama, let's get really stuck into a juicy part of the game. So Villa played the final 15 minutes with 10 players after Paula Tomás was shown a straight red for a foul on Kiko Seika. Robert DePaul said it was the wrong decision and that moment changed the game. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it because I think
we're having another Your Honour moment.
Yeah, I'm going to set out my case.
Please do.
Actually, to me, it was pretty bloody bad. It was pretty clear that Paula Tomás wasn't going for the ball. Like the flight of the ball was taking it straight over both of their heads. The only thing I will say is that I'll give the benefit of the doubt that she didn't mean it to be as aggressive as it was, but she barged into Kiko and like, obviously caused her quite a significant amount of damage and injury. Like she went down and she was down for a fair few minutes. Like she wasn't in a good space. And I think there's one thing kind of giving a player a bit of the shoulder, a bit of a barge kind of put them off, maybe taking the header. But then it was unnecessary to do that because the ball was already going straight over your heads, and the way that she did it, maybe I think where her shoulder was, it kind of maybe hit Kiko in the face. I think it was just maybe the height difference, but at the same time, when you look back on the replay, it's a proper barge. It's a proper barge. It's way over what you would reasonably expect to happen in a game situation.
Okay, do you rest your case?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, I disagree. I thought on first viewing that it was a harsh red. I think it was a pen and maybe a yellow card, but I thought a straight red was harsh. I think the fact that Tomás wasn't looking at Seika, she had her back to Seika. I think she obstructed her. I think that as well the ref said it was an elbow, and it wasn't an elbow.
It did look like an elbow in the like, without the benefit of VAR and all the rest of it. Like, it did look like an elbow.
Sure,
to the face.
But that's why I think it might be rescinded, was because she didn't elbow her and it was obstruction. So I didn't think it was as aggressive and violent as was implied. So I think it should have been a yellow and a penalty.
Okay, interesting. It did impede a clear, well, not really a clear goal scoring chance, but she was in the box with some.
Ball was miles in the air.
Some elevation, you know. She's got quite good hammies. Okay, well, listeners, you let us know who you think's got it right or wrong. It's me, but I'm an open-minded person. I will take any challenges on board.
She absolutely will not. She'll have a shit fit.
We will block anyone who doesn't agree. So, Brighton also saw out the game with 10 players after Poppy Patterson was shown a second yellow in stoppage time. It's been quite a spicy card-riddled weekend. And Nikita Parris got her first WSL start for Brighton and scored 75 seconds after Rachel Daly's opener. I mean, what did you think of this goal? Because it was pure brilliance.
I think the Villa fans were still celebrating. It was like, oh my God, Aston Villa are in front. And you're still like writing out the tweet. I'm looking back over my celebration pictures, deleting any shit ones. Being, oh God, Brighton have scored. It was so quick. And that's what you get from Nikita Parris. She can pounce on things. She's a very quick thinking player, good decision maker at times. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the relationships that are being developed at Brighton so quickly. I think that makes for an exciting season ahead because, yes, there are things they can work on. I think they can get a bit better and quicker at the passing out from the back and get better at recognising when not to do it. I think that's my biggest frustration. Because when they do it right, they do it very well, create some lovely little triangles. But I think those relationships very exciting. They're only going to improve as they play longer together. So as well, Keats getting that first goal off her shoulders.
Yeah, and early doors as well. Like 3 games in, like you know when you have those like strikers who have got it in their locker, but they just take it like week 5, week 6, still not, and it becomes a thing. It becomes a mental block. But I think, I think that's Nikita Parris just enjoying her football again. Yeah. That's what it feels like. I mean, that type of goal, it looked like it wasn't going anywhere. I mean, like credit for like even getting the cut back in, but like sliding in at the front post, like it was just one of those like real like striker's delight goals. Like just pouncing on a moment that otherwise, right time, literally within a split second. So yeah, it was super lovely to kind of like see the celebration as well. Another goal. Well, I'm going to go back to it because it's so brilliant. 18-year-old Michelle Agyemang also got her debut goal for Brighton, deep into stoppage time. Like I said, she picked up Brighton's player of the match.
Okay,
what?
Why are you getting player of the match for scoring the 4th goal in the 4-2 win when you came on in like 75th minute? Come on.
She's 18 years old.
That's not what you get player of the match for.
She's a fan favourite.
This kind of annoys me when it's a fan vote, because then it's not about who's actually played best on the pitch.
But was it one of the key critical goals to really nail things in the coffin?
They were 3-2 up.
Yeah, but that's another goal though. Could have been the other way around. Then it's a draw, isn't it?
What, and you give that player the player of the match, do you?
Yeah.
Like, is that what it's based on? Not just no. That was a bit. I was a bit like, come on now.
Well, I see she didn't get your vote.
I thought she was brilliant, but I don't think it was player of the match.
Well, 38% of Brighton fans thought that she was absolutely outstanding. So congratulations again to Michelle Agyemang.
I did not mean to piss on her moment.
How awful.
We already celebrated it, and I celebrated her wonderful celebration, and what a wonderful moment it was. But I did think when I saw the player of the match, I was like, what?
We're supposed to be celebrating young talent. We're supposed to be inspiring the next generation.
By giving them player of the match?
Yeah.
They score a goal, okay.
100%. So much so that Arsenal are going to be, oh my God, come back. Come back now.
Yeah, we seriously need.
Like Grace
Arsenal
Clinton
be like,
United.
please come back.
That vibe. 8 of Brighton's 11 goals have been scored by players signed this summer. I mean, that's a pretty big fix. I mean, Fran Kirby as well, getting on the score sheet multiple times. Like, really, I feel like they're players that are going to the club and enjoying their football. Yeah. Different stages of their career. Some of them maybe looking kind of like England focused, like can we sort of like get in the pitch and kind of like, I don't know, get our minutes up, get back to enjoying football. But it really feels like Brighton's the club. It's like a rehab club for like your mental health. Like
you've got the legends like Fran Kirby, the England legends, and you've got the exciting England future, Michelle Agyemang, scoring at in the same game.
Oh God,
cool, isn't it?
I needed that sip of Coke.
I'm sure you did. You're right.
Yeah, keeping it together. But yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's a really lovely thing to have kind of the young sort of talent coming through, being able to learn from legends. Like, can you imagine being at the club and every single day in, day out, you're learning from the likes of Fran Kirby and Nikita Parris? Like,
I'm like, hey guys.
And the rest of the squad, obviously. But like, I mean, that's flipping huge.
Can I quickly touch on the Poppy Pattinson 2 yellows?
Go on then. It is a card-riddled
I'm not disagreeing with the cards. And I think the second challenge was a silly one to make when you're already on a yellow. But the yellow that she got, so there was a penalty, and I was sat there like waiting. We're all waiting. They're having the chat, the arguments, and the people complaining, whatever. And she was standing by the penalty spot, protecting the penalty spot. And Lucy Staniforth.
Lucy Stan.
I always call her Lucy Stan, and then I was like, I'm on a podcast. I need to call her Lucy Staniforth.
Stanners.
Yeah, just walked over to Poppy Pattinson and booted her in the ankle.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and then Poppy Pattinson was like, what the fuck? Pushed her. Then Katie Robinson got involved. And then Robinson and Pattinson, Poppy Patton got Pats. Oh my God.
Oh, Poppy Pattinson.
I'm getting so confused. It really is a mouthful. Anyway, they both got yellow cards. Lucy Staniforth didn't. She just walked off like nothing happened.
Too sorry.
I just thought that was savage. She just,
that mic drop moment.
Yeah, walked over. Not a ball in sight. Booted her in the ankle, caused this kerfuffle, and then
kerfuffle.
Yeah, and then Poppy went and made that challenge already on a yellow. There was only one outcome, but I wanted to bring that up.
If you're going to do things like that, then do them subtly and walk away.
Like Lucy Staniforth. I turned to the photographer next to me and I was like, "Did you see that?" And she was like, "She just booted her in the ankle." I was like, "Okay, I'm not imagining this."
Did it happen though?
I'm telling you, there was 2 of us. We both saw it. Actually, I think one of them got it on camera.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, do you know what I mean?
If there's one camera at a WSL match, can anyone see it?
Well, no.
There you go.
Turning to more goal-scoring legends, Rachel Daly has now scored 100 club goals. I mean, bloody hell, that's not bad, is it? That's not bad at all. 3 goals in 3 games this season. She won the Golden Boot 2 seasons ago. Do we think she can do it again this year? It was Bunny Shaw last year. This year, I think, I mean, it's early doors. It's too early to say, essentially. But she's made a really good start.
Yeah, and I think the golden boot gets tougher and tougher as other teams get better, because you're seeing, your Kiko Seika's players like that banging in hat tricks. So it will be a tough one to get your hands on, but I think it's vital for Villa that she's playing in this form. There's some key OG players in that squad that we touched on last week who are doing the business for Villa at the moment. And I feel like they're almost there in terms of clicking. Like, you can see what they're trying to do. I feel they deserve to have more points on the board for the performances that they've put in. Do you know what I mean? And how quickly the team has gelled. I think players like her banging in the goals is really important. I think showing that they can come back when they're down is really important. I do think a win is mere games away. Like, I think it's coming.
Yeah, for sure. I was just having a look actually at the WSL top goal scorer table at the moment. Rachel Daly, 3 goals in 3 games and 1 assist, which puts her top of the table. 42% shot accuracy. Kiko Seika, again, 3 goals in 3 games. She has a 67% shot accuracy. And then the rest of them, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people with 6 players with two goals. Yeah, 2 goals, some of them in 2 games, some of them in 3, depending on obviously what team. But
and bear in mind, I'm pretty sure Kiko Seika only started the first game and came on as a sub in 2 and 3, so not a bad record.
Per goal, so she plays 63 minutes per goal, which is the lowest of the league so far. Rachel Daly is on 89 minutes per goal. So
do you remember last season when Kat Macario scored every 90 seconds or something? Because she'd come on for for the last 10 and score in the first 3 minutes.
Slightly skewed.
It was ridiculous.
Stats are stats.
Take it.
Speaking of more milestones, Jordan Nobbs now officially holds the WSL's all-time appearance record with 193 games. We mentioned last week we were sort of really excited to kind of see this moment for Jordan. She started back with Arsenal in 2010 and now is the only player to have played in all 15 seasons of the WSL as we know it.
That's unreal.
How wild,
isn't it?
Like, that just makes me feel super old, if anything.
Yeah, but I'm just glad she's still going. It's when she retires that I'm going to be like, oh, fuck. It's not even time for me to go to.
Still going. It's like thriving. Yeah. Like, it's what, yeah. Congratulations, Jordan, from all of us here at the Upfront team. Yeah, and keep it going. Meanwhile, Brighton will take on Crystal Palace this weekend, who picked up their very first WSL win at the weekend over Leicester. Annabelle Blanchard scored a brace. 23 years old. A goal and a penalty meant that Crystal Palace walked away with their first ever WSL points. A super iconic, historic moment for the club. Obviously, have been with them for 3 years. Just missed out on this campaign. I'm not bitter about it at all, having spent many a year down in South London. It just felt like a really beautiful moment, and you could see what it meant to the players picking up those points, because it felt like, especially off the back of the losses that they'd had, especially the big hefty one against Chelsea, you were kind of worried about this team being a bit Bristol in a way, kind of like just being battered week in, week out, and just having to take the blows and hopefully trying to avoid relegation and straight back into the Championship. But this feels like that glimmer of hope that they all needed, that belief that actually we're 3 weeks in, first time into the WSL, and you've beat a team. Not just drawn, not just kind of ground out a result, you've beat a team. And not just a penalty, in open play. And I think that's the beauty of it for me. Like, yeah.
Just briefly, I'm going to stick up for Bristol, because I do think there is an element of people just looking at scorelines and not looking at matches and narratives around it and injuries they had. But I think similarly, we had a whole thing when Crystal Palace played Chelsea, and it was like, oh, the gap in the league and it's terrible and it's not right and blah blah blah. We're going to be seeing so much of this, and that's kind of put that to bed a little bit, because this thing of, oh my God, 7-0, this never happens. It was like, Man United got beaten 6-0 by Chelsea last season. Like, these happen
all over, up and down the table, men's and women's, all over the country and internationally. So
for them to win, like you say, not just from a penalty, but to get an open goal and deservedly win
all day
against a Leicester side that, arguably will be probably mid-table-ish this season, or should be. I mean, they're still on 1 point, but early in the season.
But he put up a massive fight against Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just think they've been showing some good stuff. I think that first half against Chelsea, they've shown some good stuff. They've got some good heads in that team. They've got some exciting forwards. if they play them, depending on who they play. But they do have some youngsters that can be a real threat.
But also the experience. I mean, Katie Stengel, you've got Shay Yanez, and she's put in some absolutely killer performances already.
Yeah, so I think there are results in that team. I'm still worried. I still worry a bit about them being in and around the relegation chat. But I'm really glad they've got points on the board. That's huge for them.
I think it's that. I think the expectation from Palace is not, we're going to hit mid-table. I think it's just we're going to stay up. That is belts and brace. Is it belt and braces? Belt and braces approach. Just get it done. This is not going to be a beautiful season. It could be because if they stay up, but it's not going to be they're going to be allowed to play the football they want to and adapt their styles and things like that. It's just going to be get the job done.
Yeah.
There was a really beautiful speech from Laura Kaminsky, the manager, afterwards about not going too high with the highs and not too low with the lows.
Typical level-headed.
It is. She is the master of keeping it calm. So, yeah, congratulations to Palace.